So we're here with Patrick Bet-David. He runs this amazing YouTube channel called Value-tainment, Entrepreneur Network partner. He also runs this company. We're in their offices right now, PHP Agency. Patrick is very good when it comes to teaching entrepreneurship. I definitely recommend checking out his video, going down and subscribing to his channel. Patrick's been nice enough to sit down with us for an interview. Thanks for being here, Patrick.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Or actually, thanks for having me, because this is your office.
Thanks for having you in my office on your channel. How about that?
Yeah, of course. So, I'd love to start with a high-level overview of who you are. So, would you mind giving like a couple sentences on who you are, what you do, and then kind of what you're working on? Like, what's your main thing that you're working on now?
Well, a couple sentences would be hard, but
Yeah.
I would tell you, I run a financial services firm called PHP Agency. We started out of Northridge, California with 66 agents in October of '09. We were in one office in California, now we're in 49 states. 7 years later, we have 2,500 agents now, and that's insurance annuities, so purely investments. And accidentally, 4 years ago, a little less than 4 years ago, I was encouraged to start a YouTube channel. And we started off with 2 Minutes with Pat, which none of the episodes were every 2 minutes. Every one it was 7 minutes, but the show was called 2 Minutes with Pat. We did one episode that was 1 minute and 59 seconds. And then from there it led to Valuetainment, and then Valuetainment got bigger because I realized the big need for entrepreneurship, and I believe 100% that any problem we have in the world today can be solved by entrepreneurs, so my goal is to give birth and inspire as many entrepreneurs as possible.
And you just hit 100,000 subs.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we just hit 100,000 subs. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? This is an interesting stat. In the first 3.5 years of Valuetainment, the YouTube channel, we had 41,000 subscribers. In 5 months, the last 5 months, we had 63,000 subscribers. So momentum caught up after the first 3.5 years of trying to get this thing going.
And you broke down the stats a while ago somewhere, and it was even slower than that for a while, right? Like you were at under 10,000 for a while.
Oh, very similar to yours. I mean, you're where right now? You're at 1,500 or?
A little bit less, right about 1,100.
1,100, but you're doing your best. You're trying to get your channel going. So I remember when I was at 400 subs, and nothing was happening. We'd make videos and get 68 views, and we're thinking, is anybody even watching this, right? And then eventually you keep getting better. Hopefully as you get better yourself, because you're the main product, as you keep getting better and you create value, eventually, if it's not the same thing every single time and you are getting very creative, bringing new value to people, you're gonna have your break. You know, once you have your break, then from there on people realize you're not a one-hit wonder. YouTube is filled with one-hit wonders. Lots of one-hit wonders. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You want to be somebody that keeps putting out tracks that people want to listen to, keep having hits. So eventually, if you keep improving, you should have your big hit.
Was your break that day in the life of the entrepreneur video?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we made that video, Life of an Entrepreneur, where we went live on YouTube October 30th. And the first 24 hours on YouTube, it only got 2,500 views, okay? And then on Halloween, it's October 31st of 15, I'm about to go take the kids out to go trick-or-treating at this mall, Northridge Mall. And my boys are dressed up, they're ready to go. And I said, you know what? Put a lot of time into this video. Let me direct upload it to Facebook, and let me change the title. Originally, the guys came out with the title, The Best Motivational Video of 2015, right? And then I changed the title and I said, Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 Seconds. And it was a direct upload to Facebook. Put it up, completely forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, an hour later, it got 50,000 views. Wait a minute, 50,000? 3 hours later, 250,000. Went to sleep, woke up 2 million, then 5 million, then 10 million, then 15 million, then 20 million, then 25 million. I think right now it's at 29.1 million views. So from there, you know, people started resonating with the message of entrepreneurship, and then we had obviously more followers that came with that.
What did that promotion process look like? Like, how did you jump that quick? Was it all organic, or how did you get to 25 million views?
Here's what's crazy. We did not spend a single penny boosting the video.
Okay.
Not a single penny boosting that video. Now, I can't tell you about other videos. We boosted other videos. Nothing happened. We didn't spend a penny boosting that video, and it took off. A penny. Obviously, it's pure momentum. You know, sometimes you look at Hollywood. Sometimes Hollywood comes out with a movie that they're anticipating to be a big hit, and it's going to do so well, and it flops. But you and I like it. And sometimes a movie comes out and they're not promoting it big, and it's just kind of enough, couple ads we see, and it comes out and it blows up the charts, and you're not gonna like it. So you never know. You need momentum on your side, you need luck on your side, you need the gods of success on your side, and you're hoping for a miracle, and sometimes it happens.
What was the last movie you saw that you really liked like that?
I watched it this last week. I keep promoting it to everybody. Everyone's gonna watch it. It was with Ben Affleck. I don't even like Ben Affleck.
The Accountant?
Oh my, you seen it?
I haven't seen it
Oh
yet.
my gosh, it's amazing. Let me tell I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed by it because he played this role in the movie. He's an autistic kid who's an absolute genius with math. He sees everything through the eyes of a mathematician, which I love math. If you follow the channel, you'll hear me use the word math a lot. And then eventually his father and his mother go through an issue, and when they go through the issue, father really raises the voice tough. You gotta watch a video. It's a movie. It's a very, very interesting movie. There's a component of Usual Suspects to it with Jason Bourne. So combine Jason Bourne and Usual Suspects together with Kaiser Sose and Jason Bourne. That's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
So it's my favorite movie of 2016 so far.
Go check it out. And I'm not joking about that, because I was waiting for a good movie, because the last couple of weeks, actually the last couple of months, there hasn't been a single good film out.
Yeah, it's just been a terrible movie year. It's not been a good movie year. I'm a movie guy myself. I mean, if I can't remember a movie I watched all year that I keep talking about, it is not a good movie year. But Accountant saved everybody to say something's out there that's decent.
For sure. I'll go check it out for sure. When did you first realize you were an entrepreneur?
When did I first realize, or what was my first experience of entrepreneurship? Because they're two different things. Let me answer both. So the first time I experienced entrepreneurship was I was living in Germany at a refugee camp. We had left Iran. We escaped Iran 6 weeks after Khomeini died. This is like November 28, 1989, when we, July 15, 1989, we get to Germany at a refugee camp in Erlangen. And I'm living there for a year and a half. And in the refugee camp, there's people from everywhere. Yugoslavia, Albania, Poland, Czech Republic, Iran, everywhere, right? And there was this one girl that I really liked, and it was Katarina Staff. Beautiful girl. And her brother and I became friends, young. God bless his soul, he passed away 8 years ago. So him and I become best buddies. And I really like his sister. His sister's 4 years younger than him. She's a year and a half or something younger than me. And Jan loved Super Nintendo. Was just coming out with Super Mario Brothers 2. And at that time, the Super Nintendo was being sold at Kaufhof, which is the Sears of Germany, let's just say, for 249 marks. I don't have 249 marks. My parents go through a divorce. My mom has zero money. My dad has nothing, so I can't call anybody and say, buy this for me.
Do you know what that is in dollars?
249 marks at that time, I would say $140,
Okay.
just to say. So I went to a local swimming pool. They had a massive swimming pool with 5 big pools in the same pool. So I go to the owner there, and I asked him, and I said, you got beer bottles everywhere. What do you do with this? As my full-time employee's cleaning up. I said, why don't you let me do it? And pay me something for it. So we negotiated 5 pfennig per beer bottle I turned into him. So I did the math. I needed 5,000 beer bottles in the summer to buy my Super Nintendo, and that's exactly what happened. I turned in 5,000 beer bottles, turned it in, went to Kaufhof, bought the Super Nintendo, came to the refugee camp, everyone played, and I spent time with the sister of my friend Jan. So that was my first experience. When did I know I was going to be an entrepreneur? Probably when I left Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, and I just realized I prefer entrepreneurship over working in the typical environment with a lot of politics and control and having a kiss spot and et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to be free so I can do what I wanted to do, and that's when that happened.
What was the turning point for you? So like for me, I was at Dom & Tom, and the director of sales out there, we were in a one-on-one together. I was a junior account manager before I became director of marketing. And he said, we were doing a one-on-one, and on my goal sheet I wrote, I want to manage a team of interns like within the next 6 months. And he's like, oh man, it's going to be years before you manage anybody. So that was when I felt like I needed to get out of there and start a company. So was there something similar? Like, did you have some kind of experience that?
Yeah, I worked at Bally's. I worked at Bally Total Fitness, and I had a boss that I actually loved. Till today, I give him a lot of credit. His name was Robbie. And I remember I sat with Robbie, the biggest club in Bally's at that time, Bally Total Fitness, which is out of business. I think LA Fitness bought a chunk of them. Was a Hollywood in Bally Total Fitness in Hollywood off the street of El Centro. It was 42,000 square feet, massive gym, beautiful indoor pool, it had everything, beautiful gym. And I wanted to be the weekend manager of that club because it paid $55,000 per year. So that to me was a big deal. And I started off at Bally Total Fitness in Culver City with Cisco and Dexter, who were my managers. They moved me to Chatsworth Bally's, which was struggling. It was hitting 42% of goal. Terrible. Numbers were horrible. 90% of customers were porn industry because Chatsworth's the capital of porn. So you kind of have to learn how to deal in that market. A lot of weird things would happen late at night. So they bring me there, and I asked them, the supervisor, Robbie, I said, listen, what do I need to do to get that position of weekend manager at Hollywood? He says, you need to hit the goals here 115%. I said, if I hit it, I'm going to get. He says, yes. We hit that back to back.
2 years in a row?
2 months in a row.
Okay.
So I called him up and I say, hey, I want that position. I've earned it. And he says, I'm sorry, but we're giving it to another guy named Edwin Lopez. See, I never forget the name. And this was in 1999. I still remember this guy's name. I said, why Edwin Lopez? He says, he's been here for 6 years. You've only been here for 9 months. We can't give it to you. I said, so time over performance? He says, yes. I said, I have a problem with that. I need to know, give me a guideline and don't put a timeline on it. If I hit it faster than anybody else, I'll get it. See, I realize I can't do that in the corporate world. That's the part where kissing butt comes in. And I don't want to determine my skill set of moving up in the corporate world based on how well I kiss someone's butt. I want to know that it's based on how well I work and how much I improve and how bad I want it. Then let's compete for that position. And that's when I knew for a fact that was a turning point in my life. I can't work in a corporate world for too long. Not unless I have the handcuffs and shackles off me, which very rarely is at that type of an environment.
So what did that quitting process look like?
Miserable. It was painful. I went through depression, anxiety. I lost every single penny I had saved. I remember the day I quit. I remember the day I brought him in and I told him, I said, I would just want you to know, you made this promise and this is what happened. And we sat down and we spoke. And he was so furious. He was so disappointed. And it's amazing. That happened. I can tell you exactly what his cell phone number is today. And I haven't called that number since 1999. I know his cell phone number till today. And I left. I just said, I'm going to go try business. And I tried selling 100-page websites. I tried selling dental plans. I tried selling, online portals to try to be the next, Yahoo, where you can sell your own website. And every time somebody clicks, you make money. So I was trying to sell that.
What was the very first one? So as soon as you...
First one was 100-page websites.
Okay, 100-page websites.
For 100-page websites for $1,500 in '99.
Did you sell any?
Oh yeah, I sold many. I was the #1 guy selling it. So I did very, very well, made very good money until I got fired on a national conference call because they decided to, out of nowhere, completely change the bonus plan structure without preparing anybody for it. And I said, I think this is unfair. I was one of the executives, and on a conference call, the CEO fired me. I've never heard of a CEO firing somebody on a national conference call. But I got fired at 21 years old. And then after that, I tried some things. I was dating a girl. We were about to get married. I'm 22 years old, 23 years old. I lose my expedition. I'm in debt $49,000. I lose the girl. I am in absolute low self-esteem, low self-confidence, breaking point, August of 2003.
Expedition was the car to have in August 2000.
Yes, it was, man. Everybody wanted to go with the expedition. And I'm telling you, if you went to Hollywood and we would go to Dublin's or we would go to any of the clubs there, Miyagi's or any of this stuff, I mean, you would go with an expedition, you had 8, 9 people in the car, you're rolling up, we're having a great time. And then I went from an expedition to Ford Focus.
Yeah.
And I don't fit in a Ford Focus, so it was an interesting transition.
So you lose the car, you lose the girl. Like what is going through your mind at that point?
So what is going through my mind at that point? I am ready to go back in the Army because every single one of my buddies in the Army wanted me back in the Army. I loved the Army. There was something about the Army that was very attractive to me. And I was this close of re-enlisting for going back in the Army. I was going to do 20 years. And, I'm about to get every single thing I want. And then I went and tried to also be a cop. I failed because I didn't get accepted to become a cop because I had 16 speeding tickets. And you can't become a cop in America with 16 speeding tickets. They don't like that. So I'm at the breaking point. I go back to Bally's for a part-time job
They hired you back?
They hired me back as the lowest position they could possibly give anybody. And it's a morning manager. You open the club at 4 in the morning. It's the most embarrassing position. They give this to somebody that's a nobody. So that's their way of saying, we always knew you were going to come back. And when I came back, everybody gave me the look. Oh, I told you you're not going to make it in business. It's not for you. You have to be part of a special family. You know, if you were to make it in business, all of us would make it. You're not as good as you think you are. And I went back, and they would always make fun of me because I always had a book with me. I would always be reading on my breaks. I'm, Pat, why are you reading these books? It's not going to make a change. So I went back to Bally's with a promise that I would leave. Then at that time, I had left Morgan Stanley Dean Witter because I started off with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. They wouldn't give up my license as fast. So I was selling shirts. Literally, I was selling shirts on the corners of Reseda and Nordhoff in Northridge, California by Seaside. I would buy the shirts early in the morning in downtown LA for $2. I would sell it for one for $15, two for $20, and I wouldn't put my shirt on because I was working out back then. So I wouldn't hang these shirts up, and people would come in the corner, they'd pull over, they'd buy the shirts, and I would make $300, $400 a day of selling these shirts. And it was embarrassing. My friends would see me at the club, and they would say, he's the guy that sells shirts, the dreamer. And very, very embarrassing, degrading moment of my life.
But you were making good money with the shirts.
The shirts allowed me to get back.
Yeah.
The shirts allowed me to get back.
How did that feel when, like, you're working your ass off, right? You're
Yep.
selling these shirts, you're hustling,
Yep.
and then your friends are making fun of you for it. Like, how does that feel?
It's the best thing that happened. Because, you know, you got to know that the best thing that can happen. Are you married?
I'm not married.
You got a girlfriend?
No, not right now.
Nothing right now?
Nomad life.
Has your heart ever been broken?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And how old were you when it was broken the first time?
70.
Was it crushed?
It's destroyed, yeah.
I love it. That's great. You see, that's great. But the problem is if it happens to you at 38.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is if it happens to you at 32, it's too late. Your heart needs to be crushed at 17 years old. The sooner it happens, you have an advantage over everybody because you know the pain. So the next time you're thinking about getting serious with a girl, you're going to see signs. You have signs. You have things that you have an advantage over other people to know what happened and how painful it was. So you're going to adjust and pivot and ask the right questions. In business, when I saw that experience, it reminded me and told me that, look, a lot of people, you think they're friends, they're not really your friends. You think they're friends, they're not really your friends. I know a lot of people, I have a lot of acquaintances, I thought a lot of people were friends, but it was really, if you can, in my day I used to always say, if you can, in your one hand, if you can say you have a handful of friends that are best of friends, that they accept your weaknesses, they accept every single thing about you, and they still support you, believe in you, and encourage you, you are the luckiest man alive. If you can find 5, you're lucky. If you can't find 1, you're still the luckiest because it's hard to find that. So it made me realize that, you know, anything you decide to do that's going to be big, there's going to be a lot of criticism, ridicule, and you got to be able to handle that.
Do you have 5 right now?
Yes, I do. One of them happens to be the president of our company that I hired a year and a half ago, who he took Jam Dad public with 6 of his friends in 2004, and they sold it for $680 million to EA Sports. He's the office next door. He's on the other side. You could see him, meet him before you leave. He's on that list, and then I have a few other ones, one from high school. All of them are successful. One of them does a business that's about $100 million per year. Another one runs the most popular restaurant in LA. And then 2 other ones that, you know, they're also pretty successful about what they do. But we understand each other. We understand each other fully. And while most people judge every one of those guys that we're friends with, we speak the same language.
I know we're jumping around a lot. So you, after selling shirts, what was the very next we need to be? How did you know you were like established as an entrepreneur?
How did I know?
At what point were you like comfortable, or are you comfortable?
No, I'm not. No
Still
way.
not.
Oh, not at all. Oh my gosh, not at all. No. No. I sleep with a soft pillow every night. And the reason why I sleep with a soft pillow every night is because I know I'm doing the right things. So I know I'm aligned. So I think life and peace is all about alignment. I think the more you're in alignment with what you say and what you do, if those things are aligned, you're happy, you're peaceful, right? So what you believe and your values are aligned with your behavior, you're happy, you're at peace. You're not happy when what you say and what you do are not aligned. I'm going to work my tail off this week. You don't like yourself. I'm going to be a man of character and I'm going to treat people right, and you don't. You treat people like shit and you're not happy, you don't like it, you're not at peace. I'm very much at peace with myself, and I'm happy Some areas with my oldest son, I want to improve in as a father. That's the only part I'm conflicted in, on me wanting to become a better father to him. And I'm working on that tremendously because he means the world to me. Both my kids do, the youngest one as well. But I would say there's always a level of paranoia. There's always a level of paranoia. You cannot be in, when I was in the military, U.S. Army, there's never, when you go to war and you're being trained to look at the enemy and all of a sudden, look, oh guys, guess what? We beat them. Just relax, put your M16s down, we're safe, take everything down. Boom, you're killed. Yeah. So you can't do that in business. You can't say, oh, now I have $10 million in my checking account and I have $150 million in my net worth. I'm driving a nice cars. I have, fame. I have this, I have that. I'm good. Nope. Somebody wants you off that list. And so there's a level of that competitiveness where you got to keep your edge. But there is also the other side where it's peace, gratitude, excitement, projects. Like we're about to launch something so big in 2017 that's going to blow everybody away around the world, and it's going to affect every single entrepreneur around the world, from Malaysia, China, Brazil, Iran, Germany, Spain, US, Canada. Anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, we are creating a platform for entrepreneurs around the world to and those that want to become aspiring entrepreneurs to go to a place where they can get every single tool they need to become an entrepreneur. It's going to be a massive, I'm excited about this. So that keeps me up at night from day and night. And I'm obviously running a company that's grown 71% this year, and we have a lot of exciting things that's going on with this company. And then you have Valuetainment, and I have 3 kids under the age of 5. And there's a lot going on. So there's not a level of, oh my gosh, we've reached it, this is so great, I'm comfortable. No. Happy, peace, yes. Comfortable, content, no.
So at what point were you happy and peaceful?
Oh, I'm happy and peaceful right now.
I know, when did you become happy and peaceful? So from selling shirts,
Good question. When did I become happy and peaceful? I would say 2008. So 2008, good question you asked. 2008, I worked literally 100 hours a week from August of 03 is when I had my white moment at Matador when I did the Ultimate Self-Discovery question. It was 83 questions I got a hold of that I went to Matador Beach, in El Matador Beach by Malibu, and I went for 6 hours and I answered every one of these questions. These questions are on my website, patrickbaydavid.com. You can put the link for them to see it.
Yeah, of course.
But August of 03 when I did that exercise, from August of 03 till 2008, I worked 100 hours a week. When I say 100 hours a week, I'm talking 100 hours a week. I'm working Monday through Sunday. Some people don't like to hear that, but I work Monday through Sunday, 100 hours a week. And I was just running and gunning. My dad had a heart attack. I couldn't stand seeing my dad in the hospital. It was a very emotional moment for me to see my dad in the hospital. I got into a fight with all the nurses, all the managers there, supervisors there, and I left, went in my car, cried like a little baby, because there's no way in the world my dad's going to die because of our finances. I was devastated. So my sister got married, and after her wedding, they didn't go on a honeymoon. They went to Burger King. They got 2 Whoppers, and then they went to Holiday Inn, and then they went home the next day to their apartment. I wasn't happy with that. That's not going to happen to my family. And so that drove me. So I worked 100 hours a week to make sure those things stopped. Then 08, now I have the money. Now I'm speaking in front of 10, 15,000 people. I have this fame. I have this, oh my gosh, Pat, you're so amazing. You're so this. And so it feels good initially, but then you're like, okay, now what? This is empty. Then I got a girl that potentially could become my wife, who ends up becoming my wife. So I'm happy in that area. I'm happy financially. I found my career. I understand myself, but some was missing. And I called all my mentors and my advisors, and I got them together, and I said, honestly, I have to find my purpose in life. I know how to make money with this business, and I love it. I love what I'm doing. I'm making a difference in people's lives. I'm fascinated by the work I do, but I know there's something deeper. I'm losing sleep at night. I am as temperamental right now as ever been. My fuse is this short. I'm very quick. I don't like why I'm losing my cool so quickly. There's something bothering me. There's no way in the world. I was born in Iran during the revolution, October 1878. Shah gets exiled in February. Khomeini comes in. Then Khomeini dies, June 3rd, 89. 6 weeks later, we escape. We go to Germany. I'm on welfare child. I go to school. I have 1.8 GPA. I join them. There's no way all this happens because of just somebody to become a millionaire and then you're supposed to be successful. There's got to be something deeper to it. So I have a meeting. I sit down with my advisors and we talk. After the conversation with my advisors, I met with a few very, very well-known presidential advisors, and we had a meeting, and they told me, they said, look, we want to encourage you to study why so many immigrants from around the world come to America. So what's the purpose for that? Why did your family come to America? Why don't you study forms of economy? Why don't you study communism, capitalism, socialism? Why don't you study, you know, with America, so many people are now multicultural. Hispanic community is growing, the Middle Eastern community is growing, the Asian community is growing, the African American community is growing. You know, why don't you study what makes America so special? Why do so many people around the world rely on this country? Why don't you study that? And I did that, and my purpose completely changed. And so July of 2009, June 26, 09, I get married. July 4th, I take 16 people to the White House. Then July 16th, I put an event together that's called Saving America Doing the Impossible. I'm dressed like George Washington. My wife is dressed like Lady Liberty. We have a 40-foot Mount Rushmore on the stage. I mean, I have the Reagan family come and speak. I have all these different political people from both parties come and speak on capitalism and free enterprise and economics and, you know, all this stuff. And then from there, 3 months later, we started a company, PHP. And then when we started PHP, I got a $400 billion company that sued us. A lawsuit this big. And we got that lawsuit October 29th.
What were they suing for?
They were suing us for trade secrets and for us to take away their clients, like we were going to take their clients. 8 months later, the entire thing was settled, done. We didn't have any issues. We haven't had a single lawsuit since then.
How did they find out?
Well, they were my former employer.
Okay.
They were my former employer. So they had to do that. I fully understand why they did that. You got to do that because it's part of protocol. If you don't, then other people are going to be tempted to do the same. So they have to put the fear of the other guys not wanting to leave. But I have money saved. So I had money in savings. So when they sued me, I cut the big check. And I had to cut my 2-year non-compete was great. We committed to the non-compete. Then we left. We did our own thing. Didn't take clients. Didn't take any of that stuff. And our business started growing. But it was during that period when I was at the last $13,000 in my checking account. And $13,000 may seem a lot to a lot of people. I had a lot of money. But I'm down to my $13,000. I come home one night. My wife had a miscarriage that night. She's in tears crying. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I got in downstairs and said, babe, everything's going to work out. I went downstairs. I put on my music. I listened to the song we listened to a few thousand times in the Army by Foreigner. I want to know what love is. I don't know why I play that song. It's a crazy song, but I played it. It got me thinking. I walked for an hour and a half in my community at the summit in Woodland Hills. And I came back. I knew the world was on my side. I knew all the stars were lined up. I knew our purpose was the right purpose. And I just felt like, you want to call it Greek mythology, you want to call it whatever it is. I just felt like, imagine a gangster has all the toughest gangsters behind him, standing behind you, that have your back. Nobody can go against you. That's what I felt like that day. And from there, miracle after miracle after miracle kept happening. It wasn't because of us. There's something that was really watching over what we were doing, and there was something really hoping for our prophecy to become a reality, and it did. So it's been an exciting journey. So I would say that's when happiness and peace came, because I knew what we were doing was the right thing to do.
Even though you still only had $14,000 in the bank, but you knew you had the clarity.
The following week, I got a $100,000 check.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, it was, and it wasn't like the money I was expecting. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh. And then it started happening. And I told my wife when we got married, I said, babe, I know I have money and I know we've done well, but we're not buying a house for 5 years. Just telling you. So we're renting. So we rented for 5 years. While everybody else, how come Pat doesn't own a house? He doesn't really have any money. I'm like, I'm not listening to any of that gibberish. We're not buying a house for 5 years. So 5 years out of my house. And then when we bought a house, we bought a ridiculous house. And then from now, we're looking at another house right now. But that's a whole different story. You gotta have the vision. It can't just be about the money. Money's easy. Money's so easy to make because it's a mathematical formula. I mean, it's like, just figure out multiplication instead of addition. Capitalism is about math, and once you figure that part out and you learn how to make money, it is so easy to do. But it's very tough to find a purpose that lights you up. Money can't light you up. Money burns out. But a purpose and a crusade and a cause lights you up, and it's tough to turn that off. Very tough to turn that off.
So you mentioned your team. Like once you got the whole team together, you got the clarity, purpose that you got going. So how did you find your co-founders? Like, what did that initial team of PHP look like?
Well, we had very good people that believed in me, and without them it wouldn't happen, because you can think you have the greatest thing in the world, but if they don't, supports you and believe in you when you're a nobody, it means nothing. I mean, you talk about George or Jose or Len or some of these guys. I mean, I can go on to Jason's and Donna's and Matt's. There's a lot of them that really believed in what we were doing. But you had to, I think one of the things that people can eventually read through, okay? I want you to think about the biggest bullshitter you know, okay? Who at one point you trusted. Can you think about that person?
Yeah, I can actually.
How long did it take you until you finally realized that person's a bullshitter?
It was over almost a full year, probably 9 months.
Well, you eventually figured it out.
I figured it out, yeah. We can get into it if you want, but...
No,
yeah,
but what I just want to say it took you 9 months to figure out this person's a bullshitter.
Yeah.
You can't bullshit forever.
Yeah.
You can't. You cannot bullshit the world forever. But you can for a period. But you eventually need to deliver. So let's just say you're a founder, let's just say you're an entrepreneur, you just say you have this vision that you want to do something big, and you keep telling the people you're going to do something, you don't deliver every time. Eventually people say, this guy's full of it. So there's a part of it that you can cast the vision that will go in places, but they better see delivery. If there's no delivery, you lose credibility. There's got to be delivery. The entrepreneur, the CEO, the person casting the vision must eventually deliver, or else you're simply a phony bullshitter. They've been fooling people.
So how do you make sure that you always deliver? Or like, are there systems you have in place, or what is?
I'm not always going to deliver. There's never going to be 100% delivery. You got to deliver 51% of the time, and then you can increase that. You can't deliver. You got to be in numbers like free throw percentages, like field goal percentages. The greatest basketball player of all time shot 55% from the field, Michael Jordan. The greatest free throw guy is probably 94%, Mark Price. I think it was Mark Price. The greatest hitter of all time, Ted Williams, was a 406 when he got his triple crown back-to-back, and I think he's the last guy that hit 406. Last people that got close, Galarraga got close, I think Brett got close, Quinn got close, some other people got close. But 40% of the time, that's the greatest, Ted Williams. The guy was a psycho, crazy competitor who would go to the media and just piss him off to piss him off, so he would come back the next day and go 4 for 5. So you don't need to be 100% all the time, but your team needs to see that you're giving every single thing you got to make sure you're delivering on your promises. And the more they see it, then they say what comes out of his mouth becomes a reality, and we're betting on you, so let's go make it happen. Then you have a faithful followers that want to follow and make that vision become a reality, because they can fit within that crusade, that vision, that cause that you're casting to everybody.
It's super interesting. That's one of the biggest things I'm struggling with as a semi-new entrepreneur. So our company's been around for about 8 months now.
Okay.
We're 5 people, and recently we just hired 3 people. So it used to just be me and my co-founder. We do marketing, so we were just delivering nonstop, like working, both of us working our asses off. Now we have more people kind of taking the workload off of us. So it's like transitioning more from like that worker mentality into that like manager mentality. So how do you maintain that vision as you go? So how do you maintain that vision of like we need to always deliver with your team, like as you were starting to scale out PHP?
Okay, so one thing is, so let me ask the question in a different way.
Yeah.
When do you stop telling your kids you love them?
Never.
Okay. When do you stop selling the vision to your teammates?
Never.
Never.
Right.
Never. Not even when you're a $1 billion company. Never. You're always selling the vision to them. Always. The greatest CEOs, the greatest recruiters, they don't recruit after they're done recruiting. They keep recruiting. So they keep recruiting and recruiting and recruiting and recruiting after you've already been recruited for 3 years. So what are you recruiting me for? I'm still recruiting you. That's the greatest ones. They keep doing that, right? The other part is, as you're dealing with your team members, and I don't know if you're getting into this part as well when you're saying about recruiting people, is who do you recruit next? So you have a budget, right? I mean, you have a certain amount of money they can afford as an employee next.
Yeah.
Who do you hire? Who do you go after? What's most important? What is really, so the question you got to ask yourself, what is really going to make us stay in business? So one is delivery of the product. Do we actually have a good product that we can deliver? Are we competent in what we do? So let's just say here the answer is what? Yes. Okay. What's next?
Sales.
Sales.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that have great products. I'm sitting with this one guy who's got the most ridiculous brand. Can't sell it to anybody. He has terrible salespeople. What are you going to do if you have terrible salespeople? You need great salespeople. So you need sales. And in business, if you don't do sales, your lifespan, so your savings, you have $200,000 in the bank account. It goes to 190, 180, 170. That's your shot clock. Your shot clock is the money.
Yeah.
And as this thing's going to zero, you're going out of business, shutting down. You got to
Playing
get a
out
job.
my anxieties right now. As you're
That's
doing
right.
it.
That's
Yeah.
right. So you know the feeling.
Yeah.
So but you got to know what is the priority. Do you have confidence in your product? 0 to 10. How much confidence do you have in your product?
10.
10. If you have 10 confidence in your product, what's your confidence in sales?
Right now, probably 4 to 6.
We got to get that to 8.
Yeah.
Because this keeps this. The good news is you have this. You need an 8 here. You need an 8 here. So, you know, in our company, anybody in any sales organization I've ever ran, we've always ran a book of the month. Always ran a book of the month. So what we will do is we'll immerse ourselves in a subject. So let's just say you need everybody on the team to become better salespeople. You know what I'd be doing in your company right now next 6 months?
What's that?
We're going to choose the top 12 sales books to read, and everybody together we're reading the 12 sales books. Everybody. 12 sales books. Everybody's got to read it. And every 2 weeks, we're getting together and we're talking about what we got out of the book. And everyone's bringing a paper in. What did you get out of the book? What did you get out of the book? What did you get out of the book?
Yeah.
Guys, next book is this. Guys, next book is, and you're not giving it 12 books up front. You're giving it every 2 weeks. Everybody's got to buy their own book, and then they write a report. Next, write a report. Next, write a report. Next, write a report. Next thing you know, 6 months later, you read 12 books on sales. Everybody's selling, nonstop. And your 4 to 6 becomes 7.5 to 8.5. Now you're making money. Now you can expand the team. Now your people are recruiting other people. There's a lot of exciting things happening if you guys can get better in sales.
So what were the biggest challenges at PHP that you had to solve using a similar process?
It's different at different stages, right? So initially it was operations, which luckily my wife and I met in the business together. I met my wife in June of '02, and she comes from the property management business and real estate. So she was doing real estate. Then she got into the financial service. She got a Series 6, 63, Life in Health 26, and real estate. So she knew compliance, she knew operations, so she helped out a lot with operations. And then I had Alexis who did very well with biz dev, with people. And then Chad helped out with compliance. And we had a small team of 5 people. We had a very, very small team of 5 people that were helping out. And in sales, I had salespeople that I can completely trust because they were good in sales, but not everybody. We had 5 solid salespeople, sales manager types that I believed in. And then the next phase was, hey, you know, we had to get a great compliance officer to come in. That's expensive though, so we got a compliance officer. We didn't just get one, we got the best one in the marketplace, who was my compliance officer in 2002. The guy's incredible at what he does, so we brought him in.
So at that point, I think this is really interesting for growing companies. So when you had the sales team, you were cranking away. The compliance officer, you said, is really expensive. When you go for a new hire, do you fund that with cash? Do you do debt? Like, how do you fund your new hires?
What is the opportunity long term? Equity, possibility in a victory if the company goes public, possibility of a victory if the company gets acquired, possibility of a bonus if the company grows, possibility of a better title, more credibility, more authority, more freedom, right? More influence. These are all social capital that's important to somebody that wants to come and transition and work with you. But there's got to be a victory long term. There's got to be you're correcting an injustice or something that's happening with the company. But you
victory for them or victory for you or both?
No. It's mainly for them.
Yeah.
No. Scott, listen, most people listen to one radio station. That's WIIFM. You've heard this before. I'm not the first person telling you this. What's in it for me? So it's got to always start off with, let me tell you why this benefits you. And then let me tell you why it benefits the company. It benefits the company and ... It benefits you because of ... Now, obviously, nothing happens if the company doesn't grow. So if you don't do your part, you're not needed here. You know that. That conversation happens in the session when you're recruiting the person. But the dream is being sold to what's going to benefit that person and the credibility of what they can do to improve the company, where they get credit for taking the company to the next level. So you're speaking purely to them. You can't make your kids move and get them to do things that you want them to do. What do they want to do? And how do they fit? How can you help them get to where they want to get? You can force as much as you want. So the recruiting part is the same exact thing.
Have you found that bonuses or equity are better at motivating?
So I like the questions you're asking. So bonuses, it's different for different people. I used to think for me it would be purely equity, but it's not for everybody. For some people they want cash bonuses. I don't know why, but some people want cash bonuses. Why? Because my concern when it's only cash bonuses, in other words, people are saying, I don't believe this company is going to grow long term. or they have some things they got to bail themselves out with right now. Some people have some liens. Some people have some debt. Some people just got through a divorce. They need to pay off the ex-wife. Some people have unpaid child support. They need to pay out. They need to catch up $38,000. You don't know everyone's motivations on why they need cash bonuses, but once you find it out, you realize maybe there's a legitimate reason why that person prefers a bonus over equity. But there isn't one answer for everybody. Typically, if you bring a bigger talent who's willing to work for a lesser salary, they're typically coming because they want a bigger victory later on, and they believe in you.
So director, C-level.
Yes.
It's equity almost always. Or no?
Yeah, depending on the talent.
Okay.
Depending on the talent, the credibility, who it is. So you're not going to hire the person who comes from, Google to Facebook, and she's going to change everything for Zuckerberg in marketing and take that company from what it is to a $400 billion company without her making it $4 billion. She's not coming 400. She's coming to make that. But she is the best of the best. So you got to deliver for her, and she's going to deliver for the company. She helped him go from being $12 billion to $60 billion. What's wrong with her making $3 billion? Nothing. The math favors him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, how do you juggle that personally? So like you and the co-founders, obviously you keep the majority of the equity.
Yeah.
What kind of split, or what do you kind of hold for the hires?
So again, who are you bringing? Somebody you may bring may be better than you. Like, think about if I come and team up with you. You can't talk to me about, hey, we'll give you 2%.
Right.
I mean, like, what are you talking about? I'm immediately going to make you be worth more. So you also got to know who you're bringing. Do you follow sports a lot or no?
Not too much.
Not at all? Okay. I was going to use an analogy with sports, because in sports you can typically see if you're bringing an athlete who you're bringing one for selling tickets, another one you're bringing in because he has the right contacts with XYZ that this, like for instance, Miami recruits LeBron James. Bosch comes with him. LeBron says, I'm going to bring Bosch if I come. Wade's got to take a lower salary. He did. They got 2 championships now. Wade's got 3. LeBron's got 3. It's recruitment. What is the benefit to him? Magic, Jerry Buss wanted to lock him in forever. He locks him in. What's the benefit to Magic? Jerry says, I'm going to teach you how to be a successful businessman. He does. Magic stays, never goes to another team. His legacy is 100% Lakers. Kobe Bryant negotiates and takes less money. Finally, they said, we'll give you the $48 million contract for 2 years. What's the benefit? It's all math. So whatever you're trying to figure out is take the talent, what is the upside of that person linking to your company on value, and then you got to compensate with them. What can you afford today? It's very simple. Listen, when I recruited, I said, I can't afford that. I want you, but I just can't afford that. So you can't play games with people. Remember, bullshitters are eventually figured out 9 to 12 months later. So just be honest with me. John, I can't afford you, but I want you, and I believe this is the best opportunity for you. What can we do to make this work? What do you want? What do you want? I can't afford to give you that. So let that conversation know, like strategy, hardcore negotiation, especially when you're early on. You don't have a lot of opportunity to do that. So just sit down and have a real conversation with people, and people, they can tell if you're real and you're working your butt off, they'll say, okay, let's make this work.
And I was about to ask a mindset question. If you have only equity or equity in a very, very small salary to give, like, I don't know, let's say in America, like $2,000 to $3,000 a month, how high do you aim when you're recruiting?
Okay, how high do you aim? Logic. If I got a wife and 3 kids, that should just answer the question for you. If you're aiming for $2,000 to $3,000, young 22-year-old stud living with mommy and daddy is a good aim. It's a good aim. Okay. Guy that's 29 years old who's got a mortgage that's $3,200 a month and an S500 in his last deal he made $130 and had a 1% equity that ended up paying him out $390,000 when the company was bought out. $2,000 to $3,000, you're not going to get it. Not unless you're doubling and quadrupling your revenues every year. Meaning, if you show me last 3 years, you went from, Pat, we did $300,000 our first year, we did 1.1 next year, we did 3.2 next year. I'm telling you, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's talk. But if you don't have that, then it's a different story. So you got to work with the talent you can buy today.
So interesting.
Have you seen the movie Moneyball?
Yeah, I have.
So what's the story of Moneyball?
They go out and they find the undervalued team members and they bring them on.
What was their formula? What's the best type of players to recruit? Do you remember?
Getting on base.
That's it.
Yeah.
So their
I'm
formula.
surprised they got that, by the way.
So on base percentage. So think about it, because they said, who cares? Home run sells tickets, but on base percentage wins championships. So this guy takes baseball and he looks at baseball as a what? Pure mathematical formula. Pure mathematical formula. Well, Epstein, Boston Red Sox, they named up winning their championship because they followed the formula for Moneyball, right? You gotta know what you can afford to get today with the money that you have. That deal. And don't get upset if you just can't get them right now. Maybe later on, not right now. Be patient.
Yeah. I never even thought of the monthly minimum thing to recruit people. The mindset I've had is completely backwards. I've always figured out what's my budget, and then I've gone out and posted to job boards. Like I haven't worked backwards the way you just.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, once you look at it that way, it'll change the dynamics.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest issues you saw when you were scaling? So let's say from $200,000 to $1 million. Like what started to break when you started scaling up? Or actually, if that wasn't even a milestone, like your first huge milestone.
See, we grew fast and we had compliance issues, and I had to terminate my top 3 salespeople. It's not easy. Because as a marketer, the last thing you want to do is terminate people. And I have to fly into Utah and terminate this guy in front of his wife. And tell him, I say, I'm sorry, I love you, you're great, but buddy, what you've been doing is absolutely uncalled for. You're terminated today. And we gave the wife salary for 6 months. I didn't have to do that. We did that because I felt bad for the wife because she had no idea. She was crying in front of me for 1 hour.
What was going on?
It was an extremely unethical thing that he was doing in a desperate position, which we don't condone. And at that point, he had to be called out on it, and got himself in a lot of trouble with that. But we, again, I brought the compliance officer. I said, listen, you tell me who we have to fire. You have the authority. He says these 3 people have to be fired. Let's go fire them. I couldn't believe he came and said my #1 personal producer had to be fired. We fired him. Was not an easy thing to do, but we had to do it. So from $200,000 to $1 million, sometimes you can go from $200,000 to $1 million and you can also go to $6 million, but there's a major fatal car accident about to happen. And you kind of got to pull back because then you kill everybody. You don't want to kill everybody. So, like if you think about some of the warriors in history and you study strategists, Napoleon, all these military generals, the time they got killed is when they stretched their military too thin in a place that they should have never gone because they were trying to kill 5 different people at the same time. No. Put an enemy, put a target, go get it. Don't stretch yourself too thin because then you kill everybody. So your decisions got to be done, plotted in a certain way that it's methodical. Then you're not just looking at one part of what you're trying to get. You got to look at it as this thing's going to be sustainable at $1 million, at $5 million, at $10 million, at $20 million, at $50 million, at $100 million. I can't just do it. I'm so excited. Let's go to $3 million. Screw it. Do it anyways. No. So we grew too fast, kind of pulled back a little bit. Then we had 1 year that was a flat year. Then we exploded. Make sense?
Yeah. You ever read Jason Lemkin, Sasker?
What's the book?
Sasker, it's a blog. I think you read a book too.
No.
He has this thing called the Year of Hell, and it's basically that flat year before it takes off.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that you point that out.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's true.
What are how were you raised? Like, what did your childhood look like? Do you think it set you up to be an entrepreneur?
I'm not sure if it set me up to be an entrepreneur. My mother was a communist. My father was an imperialist. I grew up in Iran where you couldn't claim your faith. I grew up in a place where you couldn't say who you were fully. My mother's Armenian, my father's Assyrian. We're raised in a Christian family, claimed we were Christian. I was an atheist for 25 years of my life. I didn't believe in anything. So living in Iran when you're seeing a bunch of people dying right in front of you, and every night you go to sleep and you're hearing these bombs with the whistling noise. 5-second pause, 4, 3, 2, boom. And you would wonder if it's going to hit you. I mean, that's how I grew up. So I grew up in a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worries, a lot of thought of we're going to die the next day. And, from there, escaping to Germany, coming down here. My mother wasn't an entrepreneur. My father wasn't an entrepreneur. Just simple family. We didn't have money. I've never lived in a house. Like, we've never had a backyard. First time I had a backyard, I was 29 years old. And I never had a backyard. I grew up in an apartment. Biggest apartment we lived in was a 2-bedroom apartment in Iran. In America, I only lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in the U.S. And, with my sister, my mother and I, when my parents got a divorce, bad kid in school, I was not the person that if you went and interviewed 500 of the kids in high school to say who was Patrick Bay David, and you asked them, did you believe Pat was going to be not a single one of them is going to, not my counselor, not my principal, not my teachers, none of them are going to say nothing. Nothing about it was anything that Patrick's going to go out there and do something special with his life. Nothing about it. So, you know, when I hear some people say, you know, you're born an entrepreneur, I don't believe that. I don't believe a person is born an entrepreneur. I think entrepreneurship is a formula that can be figured out. No person is born knowing what's 3 times 3.
Right.
You learn the formula of 3 times 3 is what? 3, 3, 3 is 9. You'll learn it. You'll learn the formula for entrepreneurship. So sometimes you learn it accidentally, sometimes you learn it intentionally, but regardless, that formula can be learned, it can be taught. So I accidentally became an entrepreneur, and then, you know, now it's an obsession.
So who taught you? Like, who do you look up to? Who would you call like maybe your top 5 mentors?
They're mostly dead. You know, I have an artist right now that's painting something for me that's pretty epic, pretty, people are gonna think I'm crazy when I show this. I don't even know if I'm gonna show this painting, but it's a private painting that's being done for me. It's massive. It's 10 feet by 4 feet. Most of my mentors are dead. Most of them are not alive. I study who they studied. Like, I want to know who you studied. I don't just, a lot of times, like, you know, people will come and they want to know, man, let me study Kobe. You know, study who Kobe studied. Kobe studied Jordan. Jordan studied, Julius Erving. And Julius Erving studied David Thompson. And David Thompson study who they studied. Stop studying just the person. Go deeper. Figure out what military leader inspired Lincoln or Ulysses S. Grant or Patton or Napoleon or any of this stuff. Where were they getting their stuff from? Why did this Chinese, dynasty become what it is? What strategy did they follow? Study that. And so, for me, most of my mentors are dead. Most of them are not around. A lot of people have impacted me in my life in many different ways. One of them was a guy that impacted me, and he never ended up becoming a major entrepreneur, but he had a major impact on me reading books. Another one was a friend of mine who said, Pat, you curse way too much. I mean, probably every other word out of my mouth was the F word. And I had just come out of the military, so the military just kind of, it's an adjective. It's not anything meant by it. So he said, you just got going to lose some business by it. And I said, what are you talking about? So I stopped a little bit of that. There's a lot of different people that have impacted my life, but now, aside from my advisors that I have in my life, where some are for my faith, for my health, for my marriage, for my relationship, for my business, the rest are pretty much dead.
Okay. Anyone you can name?
Reza Shah Pahlavi would be one. He changed Iran in a tremendous way, positively, even though he's extremely criticized and condemned by many. He changed the educational system in Iran. He made Iran westernized, where Iran became one of the top 3 countries in the world for tourism in the 70s outside of Berman and Cuba. Talk about change of times. You don't put Iran, Burma, or Cuba as the top 3 countries for destination for tourism to date, but it was in the 70s. Frank Sinatra would go to Iran. Elizabeth Taylor was dating the Iranian ambassador Zahedi at that time. And so probably him. I would probably say Einstein. I would say Lincoln's on that list. I'd say part of Jobs is on that list.
Part of Jobs.
Steve Jobs, yeah. I would put Senna on that list, the race car driver Senna, who I named my daughter after. Her name is Senna, like same way as Ayrton Senna. I named my daughter Senna, S-E-N-N-A, Rose, Senna Rose. So yeah, most of them are dead. They're not around.
It's a good list, though.
Yeah.
I gotta go reread all of those biographies. Okay, so we'll wrap it up pretty quick. What should today's entrepreneurs be worried about? What should they be on the lookout for? What's coming? Like what should they be focused on?
I don't know if it's to be worried about, but I would say this is the easiest time ever in the history to think big. There's never been an easier time to think big than today. It's not hard to think big today. It's hard to think big if you're in Egypt and you want to create the, pyramid with no cranes. Now that's tough. I mean, that's tough. It's tough when there's no planes and you want to convince the world that this, 10-ton machine that you get into made out of steel 400 people can go from New York to LA. Don't worry, trusted people, go in there. If it crashes, you're gonna die, but just trust us. Billions have. That's tough. It's tough to say, you know, that we're gonna go out there and do, there's a lot of things that's happening. So today it's very easy to think big. We have so many tools today. Communication, I mean, think about Valuetainment. 192 countries follow Valuetainment. How would that have happened if there's no YouTube? How am I gonna do it? What's my outlet? The only way I could do this is if I get on NBC, but do really 192 different countries watch NBC? I don't know if they do. So even YouTube wasn't around 20 years ago. Facebook, you're not gonna find me. How would you find out about me? What if I never write books? How would you know who I am? You're not gonna know who I am. I'm just a guy that runs a successful financial services business. How are we gonna get connected? So it is very easy. Speed is on our side. It's very much on our side. Clarity is not. Clarity is the challenge because there's so many ways to get distracted. Like imagine if you are put in a room and you're a dude and you're single. Now we found out you're single. We put you in a room and we have 50 drop-dead gorgeous girls in a room. How can you stay focused? That's what it looks like right now. The world is filled with thousands of drop-dead gorgeous opportunities. You got to pick one of them and sell out to it. You got to pick one and marry it. And you got to stop looking at her about, oh my God, her toes are nicer than mine. Oh my God, that girl's legs are nicer than my girl's legs. Oh my God, that girl's hair is nicer than my girl's hair. When my wife and I were getting married, I sat her down and I said something to her. I said, babe, I just want to tell you something here. She said, what? I said, I think you have incredible lips. I said, I love your eyes. You got green eyes. I said, your face is absolutely angelic. I love it. Your hair, I touch it. It's like gold to me when I touch your hair. Your skin is so soothing. I love your toes. You're the perfect height. I love how gentle and kind you are with me. I love how much that if I snap and I lose it, you completely calm me down. I said, well, I want you to know something here. There's going to be girls that have nicer lips than you, nicer eyes than you, nicer hair than you, nicer toes than you, that are gentle, maybe even treat me better than you do. But I married you. Okay? I said, and you like me because maybe I'm tall, maybe I protect you, maybe you feel safe around me, maybe I'm a hard worker, maybe because I, provide, maybe because I'm spontaneous and I tell you jokes and I'm funny and I'm this and I'm that. I said, but there's going to be guys out there that are taller, stronger, funnier, more money, more spontaneous, more creative. But you married me. I chose you. And I'm willing to make this work. I don't know if we can be married for 40 years, but I think we can be married for 1 year. So we can be married 40 years. But I think we can be married for 8 years, which is 1 more year. And we take it 1 year at a time, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen in life. So you can't put the pressure, guaranteed we're going to make this work. Then you're forcing it. Business is the same way. There are many ways to make money. Pick one, marry it, and give it 10 years. And don't look at anything else and see what happens. Don't look around to everybody. Sell out to one business, one industry for 10 years, and magic will happen to you. That'd be my feedback to you.
Perfect. So where can people find you online if they want to connect with you?
I mean, you Google Patrick Bet David, my website will come up. If you want to find content, you go on YouTube and you type in Valuetainment or Patrick Bet David, a ton of videos will come up. Subscribe to it. I personally do 2 videos per week on Tuesdays and Thursdays that people can find. I respond back to messages and questions on Snapchat. A lot of people send me my Facebook. I'm behind by 1,000 messages, so it's very hard for me to get back on 1,000 messages on Facebook. But I do get back on Snapchat because I can simply respond back with a recorded message and send it to you. My Snapchat is BetDavid19. So my last name at 19, BetDavid19, and send me a message. I'll definitely get back to it. And actually, let me know. I'm curious to know when you watch this interview. Send me a message, pose a question. I'll respond back to you. You'll know I do actually get back to people on Snapchat.
Awesome. Yeah. So go out, subscribe to Patrick. His video content is amazing. Subscribe to this channel if you want more B2B sales training, and give this video a thumbs up to encourage this type of content in the future. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here, Patrick.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate you, buddy.
Of course.
All right.